Okay, hi, this is Chef Paul. We're going to be doing scones. We're going to be talking about, we're going to make a vanilla blueberry scone, a real basic scone. So we're going to start with what you're going to do, how you make it. It's similar to making pie dough, actually. It's a little bit sweeter, obviously. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients that we put in, like you would make in dough or making a pie dough. We're going to go with 2 cups of flour. We're using all-purpose flour. Put it on there. You just kind of make sure it's flat. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Okay. Put that inside there. Then we're going to go and put a teaspoon of salt. So a teaspoon of salt in here. All right. So you get this teaspoon of salt. Get that in there. All right. And then we're going to put a tablespoon of baking powder. Tablespoon of baking powder. Here we go. Tablespoon. This is the leavener we talked about before in class. So this is our chemical leavener we're going to add. Boom, right inside. All right, so then we're going to mix it. I'm going to get a wooden spoon. And I'm going to mix it. So I'm just going to start mixing this a little bit. So we have flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder. That's what's going on in here right now. All right, so we're going to move this over to the side. Now what you're going to do, what makes this different is you're going to have to cut butter inside of it. So you need to have cold butter, and you can either use a fork, or if you have a butter cutter, which are these, this is how you make pie dough by hand. It's easy to cut. If you don't worry about it. You can use a fork, you can use a spoon. I'll show you what the idea is. It's really, really simple. I'm going to put this inside. You're going to cut it first. Make sure it's cold. It needs to be cold. All right, you're going to cut it in pieces, just like I'm doing here. All right, just like that. Then we're going to put it back into our mixture. All right, I'm going to take all this butter and we put it inside. Now we're going to get it coated first. So we're going to put it in here, just dump it in there. And with my hand, I'm just going to use my hands because I got to get it to, you want to get it coated with flour so I can cut it. Okay, get it all coated with flour, then I'm going to cut it. I'll show you what that means. Okay, so take this here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that cutter. If you don't have a cutter, you'll use, like I said, a fork or something. It can be a spoon, anything. So I'm going to use this cutter here, and you just kind of go around and we cut it. We want to make little pieces. This is like making a pie dough. You want to have chunks of butter in this. If you do this properly, you should see chunks of butter. You don't want to have it where it's all melted and smashed together. That's why the butter's got to be cold. Just kind of move it around. You see what I'm doing? Just kind of push it through the little, I guess you can do this with a fork. And you should have like little pea-sized pieces of butter, just like you would do when you make pie dough. We haven't done that yet, but when we do that, it'll be the same thing. And this is when we were talking about leavening. Remember, the chemical leavening is the baking powder. Well, we're adding the butter is actually going to make it flaky, and it's going to give us a little bit of what we talked about with that mechanical leavening. So we're going to have 2 going on in here. All right, here we go. We got that mixing up here. That looks pretty good. You don't want to have it, like I said, we want to see chunks of butter in here. So that looks pretty good. All right, I got nice little chunks of butter. Don't overdo it. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm doing mine with blueberries. Now you can use chocolate chips if you want to. You can use fresh blueberries. I like dry fruit the best, so I just bought the dry blueberries. They come out, I think, best. So I'm going to add some dry blueberries into it. Kind of mix it up. All right, so now we got our butter that's been chopped up, flour, we got sugar, we got the baking powder, salt. So now what I got to do is we got to turn it into a dough. So I have my wet ingredients over here. I have a cream, there's a whole egg in here, and I have vanilla. And I'm going to add it all into here, and I'm going to mix it with the wooden spoon. And then I'm going to have to combine it, so I'm going to be using my hands like we do all the time. When you're making dough, hands. You got to use your hands to get it together. So I'm going to add it, then we're going to get it on the board, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I'm going to add this in. Okay, I'm going to mix it. Okay, get it just till it starts to form. Get it all in there. If I need more, we'll add more if I need it. Get it all in there and then until it starts to form. It's good to do it like this because you don't over mix it this way. Kind of get it all together. Then I'm going to get my hands in there in a minute and I'm going to knead it. Just like we did. So get it all kind of, I'm just getting it to combine. See, I'm just starting to get it to combine like that. Now I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna mix it up good. Okay, that looks pretty good, but now you gotta use your hands. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a rubber spatula and we are going to do this by hand. It's combined, right? You could use a dough hook if you were doing this at home and you had a machine, but we're gonna do it by hand. See? I'm just gonna do, all I'm gonna do is till it combines. This is, eventually it will combine. You don't want to over knead it. You want to see those chunks of butter. This bowls. Get it in there. Keep, see what I'm doing? I'm just keep kneading it. Keep kneading it. Getting it in there. Get it going. There we go. Perfect. That looks really good. Now, get it up there. So I'm getting it all to combine. It's turning it into a dough. That's what we want. Get it here. Now I think I can actually lay this out on the cutting board. So I'll take it here. And I can lay it out on my board. Just like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back in a minute and I'm going to show you how we're going to cut this. Here we're going to make small scones. So what I'm going to do is you really want this dough cold to have it come out the best. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut them. So I'm going to cut them into 4, 2, 3, and 4. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them like this and we're going to get them. And we're going to make little circles here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the freezer or the fridge, and then we're going to cut scones out of them. And when you bake these, you want them really cold. That's the key with that butter. You want to keep it cold. So what I'm going to do is just going to set it here for now. Do all these so you can see. All right, so I'll do these, and then we're going to come back after they're in the freezer, and I'll show you what we do next. All right, our scones. So we're gonna look at our scones. I put them in the freezer. And got them cold, but they actually are just about frozen, which is fine. You want them cold. The key with these is they need to be cold. Even if they're a little bit frozen, it's fine. And we want to be able to see chunks of butter in them. If you can see any butter chunks in them, that's great. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how you're gonna cut them. We're gonna make little like mini scones, which are really easy to make. So you take them like this. This particular recipe, you make 4 cylinders out of them, right? So you make 4 little round cylinders, then you're gonna cut them. You can cut them like this. Okay, turn them, and you're gonna cut them again, just like that. And then you're gonna have little mini scones. They're kind of like a biscuit, huh? Like that. So then after I cut all these, I need to egg wash them. So once I egg wash them, then I'm going to put, I'm going to coat them with sugar, and I'm going to show you the sugars that we have that you can choose. Ooh. Cold. These ones are really cold, but like I said, the colder the better. You want them cold. You don't want them at room temperature or warm. It's not what you want. Here, one here. Should fit them all in our little pan here. So I'll get these on here, and then we'll come back and I'm gonna show you the egg wash. All right, so we got them cut and we got them on our sheet tray. So you can see that we have little baby mini scones. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna make an egg wash. We're gonna coat them with egg. Egg's going to help give them a crust, so it gives them a browner crust, and it also enables us to put sugar on top of them. So we're going to use either the sugar in the raw. If you have this at home, you can use this, or if you have the decorative sugar, I have plain sprinkled sugar, which is the crystallized sugar, and there's a plain white one that you can put on as well. You don't have to put anything on, or you could actually just put cinnamon sugar on them, or if you wanted to, or nothing at all. We're also going to be making a glaze after that. I'm going to show you how you can do a glaze as well. So, but we need to make the egg wash. There's 1 egg in here, and now I'm just going to go like we did last time. I'm going to put a tablespoon in here. 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's all you need. And now we're going to mix it. So I'm going to mix this up good, and then I'm going to brush these. I'm going to put some sugar on them, and then we're going to get them in our 400-degree oven, and they take roughly 10 minutes, but you're always checking. Remember, when you're cooking in an oven and baking, all ovens are different. So we're going to check them in 10 minutes. They may be done. They may need a few more minutes. We'll see. We're going to get this nice and mixed. Get that all. Pretty good. Break it up. Now what we're going to do take our little brush, just dabble on. So I'm going to just do this one here. You can see I get them all nice and egg washed. They're nice and cold. Remember that when you're doing these, they got to be cold. They don't necessarily have to be frozen, but they got to be cold. You don't want them at room temperature before you bake them. So you're going to make them in cylinders. You're going to get them really nice and cold. Then you're going to cut them. You're going to egg wash them. And then we're going to get them in the oven and we're going to bake them. So once you get them nice and egg washed, now you're going to, I'm going to put some of that sugar that we talked about on there, or whatever you would top them with. You can put cinnamon sugar. You can put regular sugar. It just doesn't, it melts. Well, this won't melt. And, oh, a little sprinkle. You're just going to sprinkle them on top. And this will give it a, gives it that texture that you see on baked items. Gives it a nice crunch. Let's get them on there. And I'm also going to, we're going to, once they're in the oven, we're going to make a glaze. So if you decide you want to glaze them, I'll show you how you can make a real simple glaze like you see at Starbucks or wherever they have the scones and they glaze them. And I'll show you how you can make a vanilla glaze to go on this as well. All right, just about there. Okay, let me get them in the oven. All right, so our scones came out of the oven. You can see they're on a cooling rack right now. They're nice and brown. This was a 400-degree oven. They took 12 minutes. You want to make sure that they're browned on the bottom. You know, not too much is about as much as you want to go. So they're going to be between 10 and 12 minutes on baking them in the oven. So now what we're going to do is you're going to make a glaze for them. Okay, so you're going to take a, you can see this is powdered sugar. And we're going to use a lot of sugar, so you're going to put 1 cup of powdered sugar. All right. And we're going to make it a vanilla glaze. You can flavor it with that. We're just going to put a little vanilla extract in here, a little vanilla. I got a tablespoon of melted butter. Tablespoon of melted butter. And then we're going to put some milk in it. Just a little bit of milk. Mix it. Now you're going to mix it until you get a nice, yes, keep mixing it. There we go, a nice vanilla glaze here. That's what, I'm just going to keep mixing it. Just mix it so it gets nice. All right, that's set. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to put this on the scones. All right. So what you do with the glaze is once the glaze is at the right consistency and they've cooled down, you can't do them when they're hot. You're just going to put them in to the glaze, and you just kind of dip them in there, and then you're going to let them come out. If the glaze is too thick, you got to add more milk. There we go. And then you just kind of let them set. Now what we'll do is some of them we glaze, some of them it'll just kind of melt. All right, so that'll just kind of set on there and we'll let them melt. The other ones we can leave without. All right, so this is what you guys will be making. This is without the glaze or with the glaze. So that's your basic glaze. That's a vanilla glaze. You can use any type of flavorings to put in there. Or you can do cinnamon sugar on top or no sugar on top at all. Or chocolate chips. These have blueberries in them. So this is what you'll be making next week.